Okay, St. Patrick's Day, March 17th, 2025. As I promised in my YouTube short, I'm going to talk about more today. I'm frankly very pleased that the First Amendment seems to is more in vogue and more protected than it was just a few months ago, which is wonderful. So, and I appreciate being able to talk on YouTube since I've been with YouTube since before Google bought it, which was started by one of my friends at a VC firm near Stanford back in the day. He also told me when he started it's old school now, but AOL. I remember, I worked at CompUSA for a while, which Carlos Slim ended up buying and closing. And we would hand out these CDs of AOL by the thousands. So to get everybody, you've got mail. So times, when you get a little bit older, which I guess I have to admit I'm a little bit older, even though I still have some childlike qualities, I think I do. I'm glad I do, because children are just the best. But I was thinking what to say about, but I'm a broken, unworthy servant trying to tell the truth. And there's so much AI and there's fake man of truth out there, but this is real. It's not AI. I can even comb my hair and put on the storm hat. And let's talk about Trump went to the Kennedy Center today, and I should have looked it up on Google first, but I guess I thought it was in New York City, but maybe it's in Washington D.C. But I thought it was in New York City, so I'm not sure at the moment, and I don't feel like stopping the video to check. But I'm still going to share my thoughts because there's other things that are super duper important. For instance, okay, look at this t-shirt I got. Well, let's talk about Trump and sources of information right now. I'm on YouTube and I subscribe to certain things and then I get notifications, If I wait a little while, my notifications are filled up. Especially if I do a video like this, there'll be comments and I get notifications. But the way I found out I wanted to see Trump's press conference, or I watched earlier in the day, the one with Carolyn Levitt, who's like one of my favorite people to watch. It's almost more fun to watch her than Trump. I hate to say that, but she is so amazing, and so she doesn't take any crap. Okay, she doesn't take any shit at all. And one of the latest clips I saw, which I just loved, is the reporters are screaming at these two guys who are trying to give an important message. And in the background, there's Carolyn. She comes out, and the guys needed help because the press, they're not used to controlling them and doing things right. And hardly anybody has been able to do it as effectively as Carolyn Levitt that I've ever seen. She gets towards the front, and one of the guys like, "You got to direct traffic," and she goes right up and she goes, "Let's stop being like children and stop screaming." Stone cold silence with a stupid media, fake or otherwise. And she just owned the moment, so these gentlemen were able to deliver their message. And that's Carolyn Levitt. If there was a person directed by God to be press secretary right now of the White House, I didn't plan on talking about her this much. She's just incredible. I love when she flashes those eyes of truth at somebody that asks a dumb question or a question trying to entrap Trump. She can anticipate it. She gives him that look, and God bless the new press secretary, Carolyn Levitt. Thank Heavenly Father for her. Okay, so Trump's there, and she was with him. I almost wanted to see her say something, but she knows her place. Trump's numero uno, and she's a press secretary. So Trump answered questions forthrightly, and this was once again, I got it from Forbes. Forbes has a station on YouTube, a channel, and I said I was going to talk about trusting media. Well, back in the day, I used to read the Wall Street Journal every single day, and I thought it was conservative, and I read the New York Times frequently, especially on Sundays, and kind of the feeling was, if you really want to be up to date on what's going on in the whole world, then if you're one of the bright people, you'll read the Sunday Times. I mean, people even had gloves because you get newsprint all over. I mean, it's like this thick. and a lot of the very well written articles. But then, thank goodness for this for Donald John Trump, because when he started running for president, all of a sudden, Wall Street Journal's against him, New York Times is against him. They never publish, a flattering, uh, a flattering picture, and they, like Trump said, I don't think that our astoundingly beautiful First Lady was on the cover of one magazine. Now that's almost the biggest tragedy. I'm kind of serious about this because we've had some very ugly First Ladies, very ugly, extremely ugly, homely, and I'll leave it at there. Some of you have that figured out. You know what I'm talking about. Others still don't have it, but they're going to learn they're going to find out. But Melania Trump there's no questioning her gender. She's forthright, brilliant. She speaks, from what I understand, 7 languages, and she's amazing. So I don't know why I brought up her, but this stream of consciousness, I'm not AI. This is really man of truth, telling the truth as best I can. Frankly, a lot of you have prayed for me to get better, and I'm getting much better, and I'm very grateful to those who have prayed for me. It was an honor and a privilege to be down there and see Juanito en persona la semana pasada. Hace como 8 días, pero estuve allí con Juan, y él se puso su mano aquí en mi hombro. I think that's what you call shoulder. Y fue muy fuerte estar con Juan. Mucho tiempo, pero cerca de él por como 45 minutos. I throw in a little Spanish because there's people that watch my show that do like Spanish, and I should end up, doing some more stuff in Spanish, and I will, because that's a huge audience. And there's all kinds of Spanish-speaking people in the world, okay? It might be the biggest language on earth. I'm not sure, because India's got like over 1 billion, China's got over 1 billion, so I'm not going to get into that statistic. But let's talk about media sources you can trust right now. So I trust Forbes. When I see Carolyn Levitt unedited, sure enough, her press conference started even on RSBN, streamed through YouTube, it was like double voices, messed up. But things get better all the time, and it is like winning, winning, winning. But you wouldn't know that if you just watch regular media. They're kind of succumbing to truth, like Fox News is starting to tell more truth. But I'll be honest, I checked out of Fox News 17 years ago because I knew it was fake news 17 years ago. But what better way to have fake news than have all the Republicans, conservatives, including people in my own family? I heard it on Fox News, so I can take it to the bank. So, anyway, Fox News is coming around because they can't help it. Everybody's got to come around. Forbes is smart to be putting out direct content, and even Trump quoted the New York Times like yesterday. I'm like, wow. So these people they're figuring out if we don't start telling a pretty good amount of truth, nobody's going to watch us. Like, Communist News Network, and like nobody watches it. And if you do, you're just kind of reading, hey, when are they going to stick in a little nugget of truth? And so I think basically we're in the movie, this military thing, but it was necessary to do it because just like Fox News, I couldn't hardly talk to anybody 15 years ago because if they see it on Fox News, that's the gospel truth. They're ultra conservative, and I'm just a whack job. And it's not easy, but you never give up. And I knew I wasn't a whack job because a lot of my experiences are first hand. Like when I was in San Francisco and you watch, not St. Patrick's Day, but there's another day called SantaCon. I never knew about it until I lived there. And like tens of thousands of people dress up like Santa Claus, including women, in like hot outfits, and they go to bars and get drunk, and it makes St. Patrick's Day look tiny. It's called SantaCon in San Francisco. And I remember one time I was down there and I was drinking, and I saw 4 women talking, and I started flirting with them. I ended up taking all 4 of them out to dinner on Nob Hill and paid for it. I had a different budget back then. But it was fun, and then we went over to because just 2 blocks away, I had to go past Grace Cathedral, and the Pacific Union Club, which I had the privilege of going in many times. And there's the Fairmont Hotel. And on the Fairmont Hotel, they put up a statue of Tony Bennett because Tony Bennett was, famous for singing that beautiful song, I Left My Heart in San Francisco. Okay. Somebody said I wear my heart in my sleeve, so I'm not going to talk too much about San Francisco. Oh my gosh. That's the thing with just doing videos, off the cuff. Because I did. Shucks. I did kind of leave my heart in San Francisco. Okay. So I trust Forbes, New York Times, Trump quoted them, and there's still people that don't get it. But if you really want to know who to trust, watch a press conference with Carolyn Levitt. She'll point out the new people and the old people that try to trip her up. As far as I've seen, they're unequivocally unsuccessful. She just crushes them. Somebody asked her a question today at the end of the press conference. So what should she do? Quote, a ton of stats and stuff people really wanted to hear. And so the person that asked that question thought probably, I'll never ask a stupid question again, because she turned it around on me and was able to talk what she wanted to talk about, which is what the American people wanted to know about. Good job, Carolyn Levitt. You rock. You're completely amazing. So President Trump at the Kennedy Center, I'm going to go deep on this stuff. Whoa, 11:37 already, 11:40. Like this shirt. This shirt's old school now. Kennedy Trump 2021. Let's talk about the Kennedy Center, because what I didn't get totally interested in JFK Jr. being alive till about 2015. Because then, by listening to something, frankly, on YouTube, I came to believe, because of a guy that was on a show on there, Juan, that JFK Jr. was still alive. And I thought for a long time that Juan was JFK Jr. Now I have my questions, but at the same time, I know I've learned a lot more about JFK Jr. Of course, I listen to Right Side Blonde because she covers the original George magazine, which is superb. And, when my ship comes in, I want to buy as many copies of George magazine as I can. I still don't have one original, but I'm not like, in New York City or San Francisco. I'm kind of here in the boondocks. But I came to believe that JFK Jr. was alive and using common sense. And then a lot of women agreed with me, and they knew it too. Some of them just felt it. And some of them just do a tremendous amount of research. I mean, I think that it's amazing. And the women that knew about JFK Jr. being alive outnumbered the men, okay? Whether it's because he's good looking or they got that vibe or because he was like Mr. Eligible Bachelor. And, I thought he was taken out. I thought, yeah, well, that's par for the course. You're going against a witch for senator, and those people have no problem eliminating the competition, so to speak. So I knew about him being alive about 6 years before 2021. So then you're just always looking for comms and whatever, and you guys might have seen where one time Air Force One's taken off, and people go, John, and this gentleman turns around, looks like JFK Jr., gets on Air Force One. And just the comms that have been dropped, and then the Q movement, you can't blame people if they don't know about it. I mean, the best thing is to not judge, and if people want to know something, they'll ask you. That's why it'd be wonderful to have another Juan O'Savin get together in person somewhere in Utah, and I could speak candidly, because I still edit myself tremendously, even right now. But I edit myself much less than I did back in the days where if you mention Trump, strike and you're off. I lived through those days. And I resent people's like, if you're still on YouTube, you're not a patriot. Well, you're not a super duper intelligent patriot, because I stayed on it. Yeah, I had to use my brain. I didn't use AI. Okay, 14:30. I want to keep this probably around 17 minutes if I can. So, media you can trust. Watch Carolyn Levitt press conferences and see who she trusts. See who she calls. And see who she wipes out. That's going to give you tons of clues right there. Sometimes it's hard to find her latest stuff. I find it on YouTube. And they'll put old stuff. There's all kinds of ways to get taken off track. But Trump was at the Kennedy Center today, as far as I know. which I think he was. People are covering it. Carolyn Levitt in her press conference this morning said they were going to go there this afternoon. Looks like it's already happened. And it's concise, but it's about 7 minutes of Trump on Forbes. I posted it on my Telegram channel, Man of Truth Official. So here we are on YouTube. JFK Jr. is alive. Okay. Many people have figured that out. But there's still people don't want to change their mind, even if they find out truth, you know. A lot of people don't want to change their mind. A lot of established patriots don't want to change their mind. I guess it's kind of hard to change your mind. When people say forget everything you know, I think that's kind of a dumb comment if they make it to me. Because no, I don't want to forget everything I want to know. I want to remember the true things that I know and ferret out the false, and that's the continuing process of why we're here on earth, in my estimation. It's a constant test between good and evil. And the only person that lived on this earth, after Adam and Eve, was Jesus Christ. That was perfect. But he had special parentage, and that's why he was perfect. And so Jesus Christ was either the biggest liar that ever lived on the planet, or kind of the most famous person that ever lived on the planet. Sorry, John Lennon, but yeah, more famous than you, John. Remember when John made that dumb comment, or at least the media said he did back in the day. So discerning truth is important. Using common sense is important. Original sources are important. That's why I like books. Because I've got a bunch of versions of the Bible. Sometimes I'll do a thing on the Bible. I even have the Schoenfeld Bible. It's the original New Testament, but it's kind of rewritten. Other things I will get into, 1701, okay. I'm not going to start on 1717, just too important. But like when I was in grade school, I think 6th grade, we had to read the Diary of Anne Frank. Some of you might remember old school if you read the Diary of Anne Frank. It was bogus, not written by a little girl. So, when I get a chance to kind of ferret out things and talk to an audience that gets stuff like that, which is, I kind of have to be high up in the conspiracy understanding. Of course, conspiracy is a real thing, duh. It'd be more fun to, because otherwise you have somebody interrupting with their view and they can't take the truth. So discerning what is a true source right now is vital. And if you're wrong on stuff, like I've been many times, I try not to be wrong. And I try not to talk about it if I think I'm wrong. But if I'm wrong, I know I'm not perfect, even though I want to strive to be perfect, like Matthew 5:48, because that's what Christ said. Be ye therefore perfect, even as I, or your Father in heaven, is perfect. So I believe that, yes. God's my Father, and He's Christ's Father, spiritually. Okay, I think I better wrap this up, even though I could. It'll be fun to be at a campfire with like-minded people and talk about things like this. But I don't think that's just yet. Let's see what happens on April 2nd. Because stuff is happening all the time, just like my friend Juan predicted a long time ago. So I might put up a link here for Cash App, because I just don't do it because people give me so much crap. But there's zero income when you're a man of truth and you've been deplatformed from everybody. But I'm not deplatformed from Cash App. So if you want to donate, I had 2 donors last month. One donated 20 and one donated 300, which was kind of a game changer, because with that 300, I was able to pay some bills on time and not get hit with huge late fees. So thank you to the person that sent 300 and the person that sent 30. It's I remember back in the day when that much money didn't mean that much to me, but right now it does. And I'm holding off on buying, frankly, some important medications. I hope that Doge money comes through or something, because there's some medications, super duper healthy ones, that are, and I'd like to be a rep for them, that make a big difference. Okay, 1947. There's so much to talk about. I appreciate everybody that watches my videos and that leaves comments. and I appreciate the truthers that are out there. I pretty much appreciate almost everybody, unless they really try to destroy goodness or hurt children. Another message, okay. 2012. Oh, man. Okay, so he's still alive, and I've known about it since 2015. I don't know when you found out about it, but there's little hits being dropped. Look at J.D. Vance. Look at his face. Look how tall he is. You know, figure it out for yourself. But I kind of forgot about that because I guess the original J.D. Vance was 5'7", but this guy's not 5'7". And it's super interesting, like in the White House interview with Zelensky, how J.D. Vance came in right there and kind of was like a partner with President Trump on that. So, more to learn about this. It's going to be fun. 21 minutes. Maybe I'm going to try 21:11. Cash out me if you feel like it. It can make a big difference, even like $10. I'll tell you the truth. Okay? Ciao for now. I'm going to put my link on there, and here we go. Ciao.